Ladies and gentlemen. Wait, no, I did that intro last week. Anyway, what's going on? Welcome to the Frustrated Grad podcast. I'm your host, Zach Hughes, the black dude with no shame in his game. And I'm welcoming my co host, writer, movie fan, and man who has the most rollingest eyes I've ever seen, Tony Hoffman.
I can't control them. They just roll all over the place.
Yeah, you're the you're the Undertaker of podcasting.
Is thank you.
Yes, because oftentimes when we would set up our video for the podcast, I'll see you quite literally resting in peace. So there you go. So how has your week been, Tony?
Week has been pretty good. The summer it's ending. It's the end of the summer.
It's finally tolerable walking weather, I've noticed.
Walking weather.
Yeah, 'cause I'm in a walking club at work, so sometimes I'll come back from
Walking
my
club.
yes. You have to maintain your health when you're sitting at a desk for hours at a time, so got together a walking club, and sometimes
How
I'll
many
come back
how many
and
calories do you burn from your walking club?
I have no idea. I don't keep track of that. I just need something to break up the day, to walk around lunchtime, so it doesn't make the day feel like the horrific 8 hours that it actually is. So
Hope your bosses aren't. Listen,
hey, I'm gonna put this disclaimer up. The views of of what have been expressed in this podcast do not reflect the views of either of the hosts or Frustrated Grad Podcast LLC. Uh,
cannot be
yeah,
disseminated without the express written consent
of the NFL.
of the NFL.
Yeah. Uh, so yeah, I need to get one of those blue like FBI warnings from the beginning of like old VHS tapes and just put that before our podcast. It won't have anything to do with what's actually the content of the podcast, but just yeah, I'll use that as a catch-all. I'll be like, hey, did you see the disclaimer? Like, no. Well,
No.
you missed out because we totally covered that. You can't sue us because reasons.
How was your week?
It was all right. It was. I don't feel like there was anything crazy that went on. More gardening, more television, more wrestling, that I had to cram down my eye holes. But that was about it. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Yeah, man. Oh, yeah, I have a question. Like, have the kids near you, have they returned to school yet, or is that still
Yeah, I've seen them on their bus stops when I'm driving to work.
little
Uh,
bastard?
yeah, I mean, kids in my neighborhood aren't. I don't have an issue with them, really. As long as they stay out of my way, I'm gonna stay out of their way.
Stay out of your in front of your car.
Yeah, get off my lawn, you damn kids! Uh, I haven't gotten to that point yet. Um, but yeah, so what's going on in the news this week? One thing I saw that was interesting to me specifically, as a person who grew up in a town, city. I don't know. I don't know. Around here, it's a toss up whether it's a city or a village. I think the city of Harvey is the accurate
Some
phrase.
people would say it's neither.
Yeah. Uh, it's a junk pile, dumpster fire. Well, as someone who's from the city of Harvey, and who left that city, for
You
very justified
betrayed.
reasons, it's interesting this news story that I saw just yesterday. Apparently, the city of Harvey offered to help victims of Hurricane Harvey just because they would get on the news. Like that is the main
Exactly.
reason it would happen. I
They
mean,
should
because
like take them up on that offer.
well, the offer is that they have these 10 houses that they're willing to give to um, victims who, I guess, who apply to get these houses from Houston. And it's no questions asked. But as somebody who's from Harvey, I would honestly advise people to stay in Houston.
Yeah, that's probably
Because,
even worse and more fucking destroyed in their homes in Houston.
yeah,
More
because
damage.
it was interesting. They had like knowing some of the details about Harvey makes this story like even more laughable because in one of the videos where they were talking to the spokesperson for the city of Harvey who was explaining this offer. But an interesting thing to know if you're from Harvey and you follow like Harvey politics, this spokesperson for the city of Harvey is fairly recent because the previous spokesperson for the city of Harvey was run out.
Spending 25 to 50 in fucking federal prison.
No, she was run out of town upon threats of death because I think she decided to speak out about something because, I mean, she saw a lot of corrupt stuff going on. Also, this person was rumored to be sleeping with the mayor, which is another story entirely. But, so that was an interesting just side note that only Harvey people would notice that interesting thing. But you're talking about this offer of these 10 houses, and they were talking about, oh, we have, like, he goes inside the house, and it's a really shitty, rundown house. It's like, well, we've got carpenters and electricians and plumbers who have volunteered to fix up the house. It's like, well, if you got all those people, how about you just put them in a van and send them to Houston and help them
Or
fix
how
up
about
their
you
own
just
houses?
fix these houses and then, for the people who actually live in Harvey.
Yeah,
Like,
just like if you go to certain areas in Harvey, just see like houses that are completely burnt up that look like some like I don't know where the fire department was when these arson events happened, but they just look like somebody took a giant bite out of the roof. So like I probably I probably would just invest in getting my own situation back in order in Houston. Maybe move somewhere further north in Texas rather than traveling to Harvey to possibly get shot.
or you could stay in your own flooded house with the mold and everything. That seems
Yeah,
like a better alternative.
yeah, I think that looks pretty good right about now. Like if I had this offer on the table, I would reject it very quickly. So, Houstonians, if you're listening, uh, don't don't take any calls if they pop up as Kellogg, comma Eric. Just hang up.
Harvey.
Or if you get an email where there's an attachment at the bottom or the signature line shows a person who looks like rapper slash pastor Mace, then don't respond to that email. This is one thing I always thought that the mayor of Harvey looked a lot like Mace from Bad Boy.
He raps slowly.
Yeah, it was, which is also another indicator that you should not trust him. Sure, Pastor Mace, I'll listen to whatever you say. Anyway, uh, so that's our local news for the episode.
We're so lucky that this natural disaster was named after their city.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody made that initial joke at the beginning, like, "Hey, it's Hurricane Harvey. It's gonna be even more disastrous than the Harvey I'm from." But it turns out it's not. It's a better deal. Uh, if you didn't have Hurricane Harvey, how would you get interesting anecdotes like seeing a shark on the expressway? Like,
That fake photo that people keep citing.
yeah, I didn't think it was real, but it's just interesting to see. Like, I would like to believe it's real, but I don't.
That and Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny.
Yeah, I just wanna know where the shark was going. Like, I've heard about uh this barbecue that everyone talks about. I'm going to find some. Uh, uh, Let me
Yeah.
see. What else is in the news? In non-hurricane related news.
Uh, there was a hurricane storm of Twitter outrage, I
Yeah.
guess. This
Yeah, people on the internet are really mad about this one thing. It's like we could start every episode
which one?
about. Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
I just imagine just people at home or people like on their in their cubicles and shit, like these fucking losers. They're just so angry about whatever, and they're just tweeting their outrage. They're so
So much
there's
hate in their hearts.
so much hate. They have this time, this free time.
Yeah.
There's Lord of the. I guess there's. I've never seen Lord of the Rings, so I don't
Lord of the
care either way.
Flies.
Lord of the Flies. I haven't seen Lord of the Rings either.
Well, this I would say this is the original. I mean, I don't think it's anything similar, but it's. I mean, if you've seen the parody on The Simpsons, I think the other cartoons may have covered it, but
That's
it's
as
a
close as
story.
I've gotten.
It's a story about a bunch of boys who were going somewhere on a boat, and then they end up crashing on this deserted island. Somehow the adults in their party are killed. I don't remember exactly how. Maybe just in the crash, and it's just these boys, like school age boys, younger than high school age, and they have to survive. So they establish society. Some of the tougher boys establish kind of authoritarian rule and become cruel to the weaker of the boys, and it all culminates with the character Piggy being killed, and I believe he was eaten, but maybe I'm just
Good for them.
making that part up. But yeah, I know they killed Piggy, and yeah, it just shows what might happen if kids are left
Quark, the
unattended.
other white meat. Yeah.
I mean, that's yeah. His name is really foreshadowing. So, but nobody could have seen this coming. Is that they're doing it again, but with broads, the all female version of
That's
Lord
a
of the
good idea.
Flies. It's interesting, but there's been outrage for multiple reasons.
The
Apparently, like
sacred Lord of the Flies
yeah, it's
movie.
funny because I watched this originally. Like we read the book and I watched the movie. I think it was either junior high or high school. I think it was junior high.
Nobody's thought about this fucking movie, and probably since you were in junior high
Yeah,
school.
but that's one of those things that's interesting because it was from an era where there weren't like this trend of making every YA property into a franchise. But I felt like this, I would really like to see a modern version
Yeah, you could have gotten
of
some
this.
mileage out of this.
Yeah. So I'm interested in seeing a new movie about Lord of the Flies. I mean, the female cast is interesting. I'm not outraged about it, but I don't think the story would go exactly along those same lines. But
Why?
just so I feel like it's more, I think it would be more complex with a group of girls because I don't know if they would necessarily
Yeah, it's good.
let just one girl dominate as their leader. I feel like it'd be more power struggles and then like smaller factions forming. I don't think it would be as straightforward as it was with the boys, but
I'm invested.
yeah. So it's
So,
interesting to see how it'll play out.
what are the what are like some of the reasons that these people on these losers on the internet are outraged?
I mean,
Well,
on the tame side of it, you have women who uh, don't like the idea they because of what I said before. They don't think it will play out that way, but they say that it will
this
play out.
fictional movie, they don't
Yeah,
think that it would play out.
yeah. They say they don't think it would play out that way because women would immediately establish a well-working society without any of the problems that were seen in the original
That
Lord of the
sounds
Flies.
stupid.
Yeah,
Like, go on.
yeah. It basically
They
said they
know
would
women
crash,
so well.
establish society, and live happily ever after. The end. And then on the other hand, you just have the typical dude bros
Yeah.
who are just like these broads are ruining my childhood.
SJW.
Yeah, like so it's the typical arguments from the male side of the fence.
How
Um,
surprising.
yeah, but like I don't think it's going to be like number one. It's not going to ruin my childhood because like Lord of the Flies I associate with school. It wasn't like something I sought out for
It doesn't.
entertainment
It
necessarily.
doesn't even sound like something that's appropriate for a kid to even read or watch. Anyway,
It's not really, and I guess
it'll
that was
ruin
the
your
point of
childhood
it. It's
right off
just
the
like
bat.
it was about the loss of these boys' childhood, so I guess it was appropriate for that reason. But I just think looking back on it, I didn't appreciate the movie for what it was, just because it was old, even at the time that I was watching it. But seeing a modern
Yeah.
take on it would be interesting. Like there's some books like To Kill a Mockingbird, where it's like if they made a new version of that, I still
A
wouldn't be
piece of shit.
interested.
God damn it.
Like there's a lot of those books that were just like, why was I reading this? It's just like some of those like classic books just don't really make for good movies. They're like too cerebral, maybe. But this has like that action element that would still work in the modern era. So I'd be interested in seeing this. I don't know how violent it's gonna get with a bunch of girls, but I'd be curious to see.
Oh, I mean, have you seen girl fights before?
I've seen them. And I know what how violent girls really are, but I'm just saying as
Yeah.
far as Hollywood, how they want to depict this. I'm wondering if they're gonna go all the way with it. Are they gonna do? I mean, I haven't seen Neon Demon, but I feel like from what I've heard about that, there's like gets bloody and shows some of the interpersonal catty situations that lead to violence with women. So maybe they'll
Meow
go that
meow.
route. Yeah, because I think it could be more vicious in some senses if they.
Lots of hair pulling and you know, cunt punches.
Yeah. Well, you know, cunt
Titty,
punches are
titty,
outlawed.
titty twisters.
Yeah.
Titty twisters.
Those were outlawed in Glow specifically, so I don't know if we'll see that.
I have a question. What is a shrinky dink?
I have no idea. I
Because
mean,
Mark
I've
Maron.
heard of them. I think they're if I'm not mistaken, I think they're those little
I know
like
about the toy, but
yeah,
I'm talking
like you put them
about.
in the oven and they
I'm
turn
talking
into
about
whatever.
like on the first episode of Glow, like when
Oh, as
Mark
far as
Maron did like.
there was a move he described, Shrinky
Yeah.
Dinks.
I
I
tried to
mean,
look that up on the internet. I couldn't find it.
I'm just assuming it's somewhere along the lines of a titty twister or a cunt punch. It's some
I
kind
just
of
like the way it
dastardly
sounds.
move, Shrinky Dinks. Maybe instead of hitting him in the front, maybe it's like a poke in the butt, a Shrinky Dink. Um, um,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
there were a lot
I'll
of
take your
Shrinky
word for it.
Dinks performed in the Big Brother house this season. That's why some of the
Ah,
outrage
oh,
about that is
segue.
going on.
Hmm. Explain,
I
Big
mean,
Brother.
well, as a Big Brother myself, actually, I'm not. Well, yeah, I am, but that doesn't matter. But some people are saying Big Brother fans even were saying that they don't think anybody currently on this season of Big Brother deserves the prize money because of the various scandals that have happened in the house, like jokes about rape, butt poking incidents, and accusing people of being child predators. All
So that
those
was the
things.
girl, that girl that was poking people in the butt.
She was poking people in the butt, but people were also poking her in the butt. But she took the fall for it. Like I
Good.
think TMZ were the ones who put out the story, and it was it was a it was a classic case of fake news. Donald Trump would not approve. They basically took just a few incidences of her doing this and people complaining specifically about her doing it to and they amounted that to saying that she was the only one doing it. And the actual, I think the butt poking in the house actually ended when her boyfriend in the house, Cody, was holding her, like carrying her around the house, and then another guy, Matt, just pokes her in the butt. Like uh, Cody gets really mad about it, and that was the end of the butt poking. So
Wow.
like
So
Like,
these regular people who are put in this house for this fucking reality TV show, this controversy has upset
yeah,
people, or
regular young people doing dumb things that young people do is like outrageous to the public.
why do you watch this show again?
I mean, I watch it for the human drama, the intrigue, the cat and mouse between the different sides. Butt poking is a minor aspect of all of that.
Good.
Like when you expect people to play a game for a $500,000, but you give them 3 months to do it, there's a lot of downtime there. It's like Survivor, you get like all the hard hitting action, but like there's times where people are just like trying to find a quiet place in the woods to masturbate, where you don't see that on the show. So on Big Brother, you just see all of that and the game and the intense gameplay. So there you
Hey,
go.
do you want to know what's marathoning on Labor Day weekend?
Yeah, sure.
Well, yesterday has already passed. I'll just skip Saturday. Today we have a Harry Potter marathon on Freeform. It seems like they have
I
a
feel
Harry
like that's a
Potter marathon
go-to.
every weekend.
Yeah, I feel like that's a go-to. Like, didn't they say? Didn't we hear this like on Thanksgiving? They were like, "Oh, this channel's playing Harry Potter, all the movies in a row." Like, I'm starting to suspect this may be happening other times than just holidays. Maybe it's just a Harry Potter network.
Yes, it is.
Uh,
Then we have the Walking Dead marathon from midnight to 11 p.m. tomorrow.
all right. Uh,
Uh, yeah,
I
I
would
could.
watch the first half of that marathon and maybe not the second half.
Twin Peaks: The Return. Uh, yeah,
So they're playing that nonstop on Showtime, or is it one of
uh,
the number two channels or
on
whatever?
Showtime.
Okay, all right.
If you want to watch Grown Ups and Grown Ups 2 on FX, your
No,
chances
I don't.
this afternoon.
I don't want to watch a bunch of rich people getting paid to have a vacation and calling it a movie. Uh,
Did you watch Big Brother?
yeah, but that's different. These people are fighting for that one payday instead of everyone else getting a
Poking each
payday.
other in the ass and raping, talking about rape.
Are you talking about Grown Ups or Big Brother? Because I feel like
Both of
I
them.
feel like they're interchangeable at this point. I just
Um,
what else do we have?
Simpsons marathon on FX, but we have that pretty much all the time anyway.
Yeah, that's
Um,
nothing new.
Law and Order: Criminal Intent on Eon.
Yeah, because when you think about Labor Day, you think of murder, and yeah, that's not really where I'll be tuning in.
Couple of James Bond, Daniel Craig movies on BBC America today: Quantum of Solace and Casino Royale.
Just
Um,
never got into the Bond thing. Just doesn't appeal to me.
Game of Thrones marathon HBO 2 from 2 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Sunday night.
Cool,
Expendables on TNT this Sunday morning.
great.
The all three of them, those classic films.
All right.
I already mentioned The Walking Dead on Labor Day. FXX Parks and Recreation from 1 to 4. Got The Simpsons. Yeah, IFC has that 70 show marathon. A Toy Story marathon on Disney XD. All three of the Toy Story movies. I know you're excited for the Love and Hip Hop Hollywood marathon on VH1 tomorrow.
Sure am not. That's I'm not I am not in love with love and hip hop at all.
They're showing like an all-day Star Trek Voyager marathon tomorrow on BBC America. They should do the Next Generation because it's better.
I was more of a Deep Space Nine guy myself.
Yeah,
I
Voyager
mean, I wasn't
sucks.
into any of them, but that was the one my aunt watched all the time. So that's what I've seen the most of.
Keeping Up with the Kardashians tomorrow, 7:30 a.m. to 6 o'clock p.m. on the E.
Great. Like
Great.
you really be caught up at the end of that.
Insecure on one of the HBOs from 3 until 7.
All right.
Um, Well, that's your fave.
I mean, I think it may have gone the same route of girls, as
Yeah,
far
yeah,
as my household is concerned. Like we gave it a chance, and now I think we're pulling out.
yeah. I'm not a fan of it. No. I mean, I'm glad that there's a show like that on TV that features black women, but the content of it and just the characters just aren't interesting to me.
Yeah, yeah,
They're
it's
not
losing me.
interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So there's something for everybody there, whether you're a fan of old TV shows or old movies. Yeah, you'll be fully entertained.
would you say that streaming uh, on your streaming services are probably a better way to go?
Yeah, I mean, I never like in a time before Netflix, marathons made sense because like it was only way you're gonna see these shows all at once, unless you like bought the VHSs or whatever.
You
But
can marathon every day.
yeah, it's like when I have the choice, I'm not gonna just sit and watch a show just playing for me. I don't have any control over it. I have to watch all the commercials. It's not the it's not the optimal viewing situation these days. It's a
So
little
have you
out of touch.
did you start watching Narcos season 3 on Saturday?
I being that I haven't seen season 1 or 2, I have
Neither
not.
have I.
It's just one of those shows that doesn't appeal to me. Like I'm not interested in drugs. I mean, unless it's
They
about
made
a
people so
fish out of
happy.
water story about a family man who has been forced to sell drugs, then I'll watch like Breaking Bad or Ozark. Speaking of which, I need to get back to that. I've seen the first episode and I really like it, but I need to resume that show.
Little Evil is a movie that's streaming. That just started uh, streaming on Netflix. On it was on the
Adam
first of
Scott.
September. Yeah, Adam
Yeah,
Scott and Evangeline Lilly.
the I've always thought that's one of the most beautiful names I've ever heard. Evangeline Lilly, Kate from Lost.
Um, the premiere of American Horror Story Cult is coming up, and you can binge watch all of American Horror Story on
Because that's the
Netflix.
thing people want to do. I had to binge watch, what was it, season 5? It was the hotel season because I saw the promotion for season 6 and they did all these random little spots being like, "Oh, what's the theme of season 6? What is it? What's the mystery? Is it gonna be witches again? Is it gonna be vampires? Is it gonna be ghosts? What is it?" And then it was like, "Oh, it's this unsolved mysteries parody." It was like, who was asking for that out of all these possible stories that could be told? But it's like, yeah. So I watched the horrible Lady Gaga season for nothing.
Were you Gaga for Gaga? She got a Golden Globe nomination.
Yeah, and it was I don't understand why.
You
It
you
was
understand why, but you
it was one of the
still
worst
upset.
seasons of television I've ever watched. Like completely nonsensical stories like folded in on each other. People who were dead were back alive without explanation. A lot of stuff
I
didn't really make
I
sense.
can't. I haven't watched that show since the first season. And
Yeah, and I didn't
yeah,
like the first season. Like I feel like it's always like torture that I put myself through. I think going to actually
why?
I'm going to actually step back. I stopped season 6 after like the second episode, and I'm
I mean
I'm
the
not
the
going to
Ryan
continue
the
that.
Ryan Murphy stuff is like it's shock value and like it starts off well, but then it just turns into shit.
Yeah, because I think the only season I even slightly enjoyed of American Horror Story was the one with the witches, and then like after maybe 6 of the 13 episodes, I was like, okay, this story is pretty much over. But then they just kept dragging it out. I was like, he should probably get a smaller episode order, and these would be more entertaining. Like something
Hey,
about Defender's length would be good for him.
have you finished the Defenders yet?
Yeah, I finished it all last Sunday. Like, or actually, it was last Saturday because I had watched the first episode the previous week, and then stuff got away from me during the week, and then I watched all of the rest of them last week. So,
What did
um,
you think?
one thing was interesting. I saw in some reviews, people were asking like, so all five of these previous seasons have been leading to this because talking about that is kind of a smaller story that it's, but I think that's part of the point of the Defenders. Like they're the street level heroes that aren't like saving the world. They're just saving the city or their areas of the city. So like the scale of it didn't bother me too much. I felt like I
Did you
think
feel like
everybody.
they came together like the Avengers and there was this camaraderie like the Avengers, or did you feel like this was like a like sort of like what they do on like Supergirl and the Flash, where they'll
I,
show up for an episode and
yeah, I feel like they set it up to them like coming to an understanding with each other. They gotten past the point of where they are or distrust each other, but they seem to be perfectly fine uh, uh, separating at the end of this. Like, you know what? Good job. All right. See you later. So I feel like that's where they're gonna go with it, and then come back together when there's another big enough story. But I feel like they set it up enough where you understand why they're not just like hanging out all the time. They,
and they'll never be like you'll never see Daredevil or any of these characters in Spider-Man movies or Avenger movies
yeah,
or anything like that.
I
And it's
don't
kind of
like
sad
that,
that
but yeah,
it's kind of sad that Daredevil has been relegated to this, you know, TV side of the Marvel, you know, universe.
I mean, you can blame Ben Affleck for that, but like, I feel like for TV fans, that's good as far as the character, and I guess its marketability that it's not as good. Like, you could have made millions of dollars with a film franchise of this, but you know, we have a lot of on-screen film franchises from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so
He's with the
switch
B-list
it up.
superheroes.
I mean, he's at the top of the B lists, but yes. Although a lot of people like Daredevil season one and most of two better than a lot of the Marvel movies, so I feel like that's a feather in his cap.
Hey, you want some Labor Day facts?
Sure.
Beach barbecue and buying, the time and money spent on Labor Day weekend. About a quarter of Americans plan to get out of town this Labor Day weekend.
All right.
Um, 128.5 million people will be enjoying cookouts to celebrate this holiday.
All right.
Thousands are expected to celebrate college at college football stadiums. I know you love college football.
Sure do. Sure love the game. I love the players. Love all their millions of dollars they get paid
They
for
will get
playing the game.
because they're in college.
Yeah, I enjoy how well compensated they are for possibly injuring themselves and crippling themselves for the rest of their lives.
It's
I'm a
small
big
price to
fan
pay
of.
for dementia.
Yeah, it's a great institution.
The average Labor Day weekend shopper is expected to dish out about $58. That doesn't sound like a
$58.
lot, does it?
It's not bad at all. It's just a couple of packs of meat, some
Hmm.
charcoal, uh,
Beer,
beer. Yeah,
beer.
it's not very bad.
Labor
I
Days.
although I think
I'm
it is
sorry.
weird that people will celebrate like this holiday that is centered around workers, the working man
Yeah, I was
and
just about
woman,
to
by
tell
like,
you the origins of it. Labor Day's roots can be traced back to streets of New York City in the 1880s. That's when union leaders joined forces to fight against unfair labor practices. At the time, the protests grew, and other areas of the U.S. joined in. This led to some 30 states to celebrate the day, even before it became a federal holiday in 1894.
Yeah, but it's like people celebrate this holiday that's centered around workers, and they have this day off, but then they choose to like cook meat for other people. And like I would just sit at home like a fat ass and
Be
not do
completely
anything.
useless.
Yeah, I feel like that's a perfect way to celebrate
But
this holiday.
have
It's
you
like,
thought that maybe they enjoy making the meat and stuff?
I mean, sure, I'm sure some people enjoy that, but I don't, so I'll
You're
abstain.
you're comparing it to a hard labor at the gold mines, the salt mines.
Well, imagine if you were like a chef or a sous chef and you get the day off for Labor Day. Are you gonna be standing behind a grill serving up plate after plate of barbecue? I feel like this is the day where you should not do that.
All right.
It's like a carpenter getting the day off and be like, you know what, I'm gonna add an extension to my house with this free time I have. Like that's more work.
Since 1894, deaths in the labor industry have dropped 97%, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
I don't like people dying.
Fun fact: most countries celebrate their Labor Day in May.
Oh, interesting. I wonder why we have to be so different. It's just like us in Canada with our Thanksgivings, different times. Um,
Yeah. How would you, just looking back on the summer in movies, how would you rate this past summer in movies? One of the best, one of the worst.
one of the worst, I would
Okay.
say. I feel
Yeah.
like, and this is, I don't know, maybe it's recency bias, but I felt like last year was one of the best. And then,
Really?
yeah,
What did
because
we
I feel
have this
like
last year? We had the Batman v Superman, even though that was in March.
that
Then you
wasn't
had
summer, but we
you
had
had Civil War. That was
Civil
like a month
War,
later.
Doctor Strange fit into that time period. I'm trying to think of what else we had. Um, I'm
The
just thinking of,
Ghostbusters.
I mean, I'm thinking of the year in general was a good one because that was Deadpool, but that was February. But I feel like there were a lot of good movies just in general last year. I feel like this year period, summer included, has not been great for movies. Like I feel like,
I have trying to think how many movies did I actually go out and see this summer.
yeah, I feel like there's been a decline because that's another thing that made me like more biased towards last year because I probably saw the most movies I had seen in a year last year, just like
Yeah,
with something every week at a certain point. And this year has just been like, yeah, you know what? I'm not gonna see that, or maybe
yeah,
I'll see that
exactly.
for $5,
They're
or
talking
maybe
about
not.
how this Labor Day weekend at the box office is going to be like one of the worst because I think like that fucking Hitman's Bodyguard is going to come in first again, but it's only going to probably barely make like 10 million.
Yeah, because isn't that pretty old at this point? It's
Yeah,
like
3 weeks.
3 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Uh, there are thankfully the year's not over. On the Huffington Post, there's a article 24 movies you'll want to see over the remainder of 2017. We've got a new Pixar movie. We have a dancing Hugh Jackman, and we
Wow.
have the It remake that's coming out among others.
What is the dancing Hugh Jackman movie?
I will probably get to that within the article.
All right.
Sec.
I'm
Uh,
impatient. I'm a
cool.
millennial.
We've got two superhero movies, Thor Ragnarok and Justice League. Are you excited
Yay.
about Justice League?
Hooray. Yes, I'm so excited. So excited that I've
Opening in
completely
November.
blocked it from my mind.
The more I hear about it, the more I just
One
no.
one previous cut was deemed unwatchable.
And all the Joss Whedon stuff. No, we have to like shoot more scenes to make it more lighter. And like, oh, Jesus.
Like I'm not putting a whole lot of stock into like all the rumors that come out every day about it, but I just go based on what I've seen. It's like, yeah, that doesn't look good. I'm gonna trust my gut on this one.
We have a Bad Mom's Christmas, the sequel to Bad
Wait,
Moms.
really? There's a
Yes,
sequel to that movie? Bad Mom's Christmas. All right,
Mila Kunis.
sure.
Pitch Perfect 3. Jesus.
Because we needed one of those. Like, we desperately needed it.
I still have not seen Pitch Perfect 2 from start to finish.
I've not
I mean,
seen
it's on.
any of the Pitch Perfect movies.
Oh, really? The first one's good.
I just feel like, um,
I mean, there's a reason they've made two fucking sequels,
I don't
aside
get
from money.
it just makes me think of like the Step Up movies. Like there was
They're
just
not like the Step Up movie.
is just from seeing the trailers, like, oh, this is a world that I don't have any interest in, and I
But it
don't
is
want to delve
interesting.
into
It is interesting
the
that like
world of acapella singing
the whole
competitions.
acapella trend kind of like has died out significantly since when this movie came out. The
Yeah,
first one,
because what was the show that was surrounded the Sing Off or something
some shit
like
like that. I
that?
don't know.
It was like, plus there's like, and
2012, 2013.
yeah, plus even though this is not something I'm super sensitive about, but it's like there's a lot of cultural appropriation going on. It's like, hey, you know what
Yeah,
would be
yeah.
cool for all those white people to sing? It's
This hip hop song, acapella.
Poison by Belle Biv DeVoe. Let's let's make it sound as white as we possibly can. Never trust a big button to smile. Like, no, just don't. So much no. Yeah.
Star Wars: The Last Jedi, of course, and Steven
Yay.
Spielberg's The Papers also arrived before Christmas.
Is
Despite
this similar to the what the hell was that movie? The
Ready
WWE
Player,
film that Randy Orton was in, where he said, "I'll go to the papers if I have to." Uh, is it
I
similar
have
to
no
that?
idea what you're talking about.
It's if you don't follow the WWE films, it'd be easy for that one to
Thank
slip
God, you
by.
lucky bastard. That Bruce Lee movie, that quote unquote Bruce Lee movie that
It
came
apparently
out
wasn't about
last week,
Bruce Lee.
it's WWE produced.
Yeah, a lot of people thought, like, I've seen a couple of reviews about it. Like, they thought the guy playing Bruce Lee was like really good. His interpretation was
But some people thought he was terrible.
well, like I know I think Chris Stuckman, he really liked him,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Tyrone Magnus thought he was good, but there just wasn't enough of him, and the fictionalization of this admittedly fictionalized account was way too unbelievable for some people, especially based on the fact that this random guy is supposed to just been the one orchestrating all of this.
White guy surrogate.
Yeah,
White
yeah. It sounds like they focus a lot on this white guy who's like
white
one
guy
of Bruce
viewpoint.
Lee's students rather than Bruce Lee himself.
White boy entry point.
Yeah, because
Who's
like,
supposed to be Steve McQueen, but his character's name is Steve McKee or some shit like that, or
okay, so that
he's.
was that took a lot of people out of the movie.
Despite the summer box office facing its weakest ticket sales in 25 years, the
Whoa.
rest of 2017 should be a treasure trove for movie going. Many of the finest directors have projects opening, meaning Oscar the Oscar Derby will indeed be a doozy. Um, the It movie comes out on Friday, man, September the 8th.
All right.
Yeah,
Well, that's good to know. Wait,
I
September
will
the
be
8th.
watching
Does
it
that so?
Friday.
Yeah, I will be. Uh, uh, that might finally get me back to the theaters because it's been a while.
I think we have a wiener. I remember watching like the It miniseries. I don't remember most of it, but I remember watching it when it was on ABC in like the early
Yeah,
'90s with Tim Curry as
Pennywise,
Pennywise.
aka it. Yeah, I remember. I watched that a few times. Like, uh, it always creeped me out. Just like the giant eyeball, and there's, there's a lot of creepy imagery in that
Wasn't
miniseries.
didn't like Harry Anderson from Night Court? Didn't he play one of the adult kids in the
Yeah,
part two? Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I remember vaguely remember.
yeah. He was one of the many traumatized children who was basically on the run from this killer clown. Um, so yeah, I'm excited for that. That was one of the few remakes in recent years where it's like, you know what, this looks good. It's like it, it doesn't look like it's really changing much, but it seems like it's being done well and in a modern take with probably better actors. Because I would
I
say
hope so.
even the kid from Stranger Things is probably a better actor than Harry Anderson from Night Court. So I'm excited for it.
Mother, September the 15th, directed by Darren Aronofsky.
Don't you mean mother? Exclamation point.
No, lowercase m, exclamation point.
So it's like mother. I don't know how you
That
pronounce that.
that opens on September the 15th. Uh, America's Sweetheart, Jennifer Lawrence, Javier Bardem,
She America's sweetheart.
Michelle Pfeiffer, Ed Harris, Christian Wiig. This is I don't know if this is Oscar bait, but he's the Darren Aronofsky directed Black Swan, Requiem for a Dream. So yeah,
Yeah, I always think of you say Darren Aronofsky. I think of Dexter's Laboratory, but I was like, no, that's Genndy Tartakovsky. I'm getting my skis mixed up. But yeah. So,
Battle. Oh, I'm sorry.
another thing I was gonna say is just tangent. I think one of the things that is like possibly hurting the summer blockbuster season is that I don't think movie studios are as concerned about releasing movies in the summer, and I think part of that is because there's so many superhero franchises that the natural thing would be like, oh yeah, this is going to be our summer blockbuster, but it's like now you have to clear the way for all these other franchises. Like, well, Marvel's not going to put out two MCU movies in the same summer, or unless they're going to bookend it, and then you have DC that has to like tiptoe around Marvel, and then you have the random other studios that are trying to go for that same market. They have to like stay out of each other's way. So I think the movies are more spread out as far as like those big major action slash superhero type movies. So that might be what is like making the focus less on summer specifically.
Blade Runner 2049, October the 6th. Highly anticipated sequel from this movie that came out in the early 80s that I'm sure won't be disappointing at all.
Do you have any affinity for Blade Runner?
No, I've never seen it.
Yeah, I don't think I have either. Like, whenever they mention Blade Runner, I think of like Total Recall. It's like, oh no, that's a different movie. Uh, yeah, I don't know much about Blade Runner, so I would have to do the research if I was planning on going to see that one.
I mean, like I know bits and pieces of like the plot and like some of the famous scenes in it just from like watching other stuff and like reading other stuff.
Mm,
Uh, this sequel, Ryan Gosling, Harrison Ford from the original, of course, Jared Leto, Mackenzie Davis, Robin Wright, and our friend Dave Bautista.
all right, sounds great.
You sound so
I mean, I just don't have any connection with it. Like, that's what they're selling it on is the name recognition, and I don't
pretty
recognize the
much.
name really, so it doesn't like they're not they're not really selling me specifically on it. They're selling people older than me on it, I'm assuming.
I'll be curious to know like what the box office numbers would be on that because like the original when it came out, it wasn't like a box office hit, and that was like Harrison Ford during like his heyday with like Star Wars and Indiana Jones and stuff.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that it sounds like grew over time. And it was like a cult favorite. But we'll see how this one does.
Marshall, the Thurgood Marshall biopic, once again starring Chadwick Boseman as a in a black famous person biopic, October the 13th.
All right. Oh,
Uh,
just reminded me. I saw another black biopic. I watched Queen of Katwe uh, over this weekend, which I was meaning to get out to the theater to see a long time ago, and I finally saw it. And, eh, That's my review of, of that.
What was that movie about again?
It was about a girl from Uganda who got really good at playing chess, and she became a
What's her
chess
what
champion.
is that?
And
What's her face from 12 Years a Slave and Star Wars?
yeah, Lupita Nyong'o was played the mother of the child, and uh, David Oyelowo, uh, aka Martin Luther King Jr., was also in it. So it was all right. It was it was interesting, like coming of age story, but like not a lot happened. So there you go.
Also on October 13th, Goodbye Christopher Robin.
3 days
Uh,
after my birthday. Wait, is it
yeah,
the Christopher Robin from Winnie the Pooh? Is that what this is about?
yes, it is.
So
Uh,
goodbye, Christopher Robin. What is this about?
Dom Nall Gleeson from Star Wars and that episode of Black Mirror. Margot Robbie, Kelly MacDonald. After returning from World War One, a hardened A.A. Milne crafted the story that would become Winnie the Pooh, finding inspiration in his son Christopher Robin's stuffed animals.
Hmm.
My Week with Maryland director Simon Curtis has brought the Hundred Acre Woods origins to life through a sentimental yarn about a reluctant father bonding with his son.
So I wonder if
Yeah.
this is gonna be kind of like that biopic about the guy who made Wonder Woman. It's gonna be a sexual romp involving this ex-vet. Um, yeah, I don't know if people are as interested in origins for legendary characters as they are in the characters themselves. This seems like a straight to Netflix or straight to DVD type movie. I don't think people are gonna be lining up around the block to see the origin of Winnie the Pooh. But
Uh,
call me cynical.
October the 27th, more Oscar bait Suburbicon, directed by George Clooney and written by George Clooney as well as the Coen brothers,
So is this a
starring
documentary about a convention revolving around suburban culture and suburban things?
the least attended convention
Yeah.
ever.
Suburbicon 2017. Bring your cats and uh, there's parking for 5,000 strollers. So
This movie
be there.
stars Matt Damon, Julianne Moore, Oscar Isaac. For his sixth directorial endeavor, George Clooney dusted off an unproduced Coen Brothers script from the 80s about a father in 1959 who lashes out after his home is invaded. Turns out there's a lot of violence lurking in picture perfect suburbia.
Ooh, what lies beneath the surface?
Yeah. Lady Bird, November the 10th, directed by Greta Gerwig and written by Greta Gerwig, starring Saoirse Ronan.
About Lyndon Baines Johnson's wife.
No,
Yeah, I think her name was Lady Bird Johnson.
that's not what this movie is about.
Okay.
This is a coming of age story. Saoirse Ronan plays a bellicose California teenager who can't wait to leave home for college. Uh, yeah.
All right. Can't wait for that one. On the
Three.
edge of my seat.
It's Oscar bait season. Three billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri. That's the name of the movie, starring
Yeah,
Francis
I saw
McDormand,
that title.
Woody
And
Harrelson, Peter Dinklage.
oh, you know what? I
Yeah,
think I did actually finally watch the trailer for that. This is about a woman whose daughter was murdered, I believe. And
yeah. She's protesting the lack of arrests in her daughter's
yeah, so
murder
she buys
investigation.
3 billboards. And just, just it's about her grief and her anger and all that. So that's going to be a heartwarming,
Feel good movie
feel
of
good
the
movie of the
fall.
year. I'm tired of Hollywood constantly Oscar baiting itself. It's, it's, that's not something I want to watch.
You're not into that type of thing.
No, Oscar baiting is something that should be done behind closed doors and not in a movie theater. Just, just ask
Well,
Pee
in
Wee
some movie
Herman.
theaters, Pee Wee Herman.
Yes.
Uh, Murder on the Orient Express, November the 10th, directed by Kenneth
You can't
Branagh.
say that.
Yeah. Johnny Depp stars Michelle Pfeiffer, Daisy Ridley from Star Wars, Willem Dafoe, Penelope Cruz, a whole bunch of other famous people. This another adaptation of the Agatha Christie's mystery novels.
I was
Uh,
hoping that instead of an adaptation of Agatha Christie, they should do a similar story that I feel like is ripe for a remake. Throw Mama off the train. I feel like that's a better use of
Mediocre
resources.
80s comedies being
Yeah,
remade.
yeah. So that's what I want to see.
The last time Murder on the Orient Express appeared on the big screen was in 1974 in a movie starring Lauren Bacall and Albert Finney. Yeah, so this is about as Oscar baity as it gets.
Yeah,
What do you say?
I think we can agree it's been too long.
Richard Linklater is back. He's written and directed
Slacker 2.
Last Flag Flying, November the 17th, starring Bryan Cranston, Steve Carell, Lawrence Fishburne, and Cicely Tyson.
All right.
It's easy to yeah. This is based off of a novel about three Marine pals who travel uh, across country when one son is killed in combat.
You already lost me.
um,
Any of these movies
yeah,
sound interesting.
I swear, man.
Like there's a lot of like downers slated for the future.
It's a lot of movies that I won't be seeing in theaters.
Yeah, like here's some movies you want to see for the remainder of 2017. Most of them you actually won't.
The
But yeah,
Pixar movie that everybody will be seeing. I think this comes out during Thanksgiving weekend or Thanksgiving week. Coco. Uh, this is their most recent non-sequel
okay.
since The Good Dinosaur, which puts a heap of pressure on this fantasy based around the Mexican holiday known as Day of the Dead. The
Jesus,
movie
I remember
follows,
seeing the trailer for this like it feels like a year
yeah,
ago now. I
Coco
remember
follows
that.
young Miguel, who dreams of becoming an accomplished musician despite his family's objections. Miguel is inadvertently transported to the land of the dead, where he tracks down his ancestors with the help of his teeth pup.
Yeah, that's I feel like they're leaning towards a specific audience with that, and I'm not in that audience, but good for them.
A movie that I'm curious to see, but I probably won't see it in theaters, is The Disaster Artist, starring James Franco on December the 1st.
About the film The Room.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably not gonna watch that. I haven't watched The Room, so I don't know if I want to watch a probably fictionalized account of how the movie was made. Doesn't seem like it's gonna be first on my list. That's for sure.
Let's see here. A whole bunch of other the Shape of Water, starring Sally Hawkins, directed and written by
All right.
Guillermo del Toro.
Okay.
Uh, the Star Wars: The Last Jedi on December the 15th, of course.
Sure.
We will all be seeing that.
Be, uh, I'm not as gung ho about it as I was Force Awakens. Now this is just another entry. Like I feel like it took a few years for people to get superhero fatigue, but I feel like just with these past 2 years of Star Wars, I feel like it's like instant. It's like you know what? I could have waited a little while longer for this next one.
You're not excited about another chapter in the saga as
No,
opposed to those
not like
individual stories.
I mean it. I haven't watched a lot of the trailers, but I just feel like what's really gonna happen in this next one. It's like we
What's
have to have another one of these for the next 100 years, so it's not gonna be a lot of not gonna be a huge move forward in terms of developments in the story. So we'll
Oh,
see.
they're just doing three of the. They're supposed to be only doing three of the actual saga movies, and those individual Star Wars stories are just supposed to be like prequels and stuff, right? Or side stories
Yeah, I
or
can't
whatever.
wait for Obi-Wan and Han
Obi Wan.
Solo. in the
Yeah, that Han
Chewbacca
Solo
story.
one. This, that Han Solo movie just that looks
Yeah,
like a mess.
yeah. So, hey, a movie that I guess it could fall into the category of reboots, sequels, or ripoffs, as categorized by the Razzies. I finally watched Death Note this week,
Oh, I
which,
couldn't get through the first 10 minutes.
yeah, the live action uh, Netflix version of the,
Bastardization.
yeah, of the Netflix of the Death Note anime. It was not great. That was,
Oh, that's the general consensus.
yeah, that was the consensus. And like, the one thing I do think, I haven't heard anybody say this, is like I did like Lakeith Stanfield in his portrayal of L. He like had a very like weird, awkward delivery, but it's the same delivery as the character in the anime. So I like that he's constantly eating candy. And he like would sit in a chair with like his feet up in the chair. So like I felt like his performance of that character was, I felt like it was accurate enough. But like every other character was basically like nothing like the anime. Like the main character, Light, is like the super smart kid who comes up with all these kind of plans to evade getting caught by people investigating him. And the Light in this movie is just like an idiot and a coward, and he just makes all these like stupid random jokes that was like, there was no real comedy in Death Note anime except for like maybe from people like L and some other side characters. But
I will
like
never watch this again.
yeah,
Ever.
it was a lot of like, it was very Americanized. Like I don't know if you can go
That's
as
what
forward
people
to
have been saying.
like, they say they used whitewashing most often, but it's like, I guess you could say that, but I feel like the what hurt it the most was Americanizing it, because like they're like guns get involved a lot in this one's like there were no guns in the Japanese versions. Like they made a big point of like, well, Japanese citizens are not allowed to carry guns, and then like one scene, this character just like fuck it, and he grabs a gun and chases after, like it's nothing like the anime, but you know,
On
it was what it was.
December 22nd, Downsizing, more Oscar bait. Alexander Payne, written and directed, stars Matt Damon, Christian Wiig, Christoph Waltz, Jason Sudeikis. I mean, you notice that like these fucking comedy people are trying to like do these quote unquote serious movies to get like
Yeah, like
acting cred or be
yeah, if I
taken
just saw the
seriously.
cast list, I was like, oh, so Christoph Waltz is gonna take a comedic turn? Like, no, actually, Kristen Wiig and Jason Sudeikis are gonna take a dramatic turn.
DC
Like, well,
Nash and
no,
yeah, Neil
no, thank you.
Patrick Harris.
Actually, I'm fine with the how Niecy Nash is portraying her role in Claws. I feel like it's coming across well. It's kind of along the lines of Bryan Cranston in Breaking Bad. It's like she has, you could see her comedic roots in some elements of it, but she's in a very dramatic situation.
This movie actually looks pretty interesting. Imagine an adult politicized uh, version of Honey I Shrunk the Kids. In the latest satire from Election and The Descendants director Alexander Payne, scientists are shrinking humans to combat overpopulation and
Okay.
environmental issues. It's an absurdist premise that will no doubt find biting resonance in a year that's seen fierce debates about who has the right to occupy space in this country.
So maybe if you wanted to take this to a dark turn, like maybe all the white supremacists will, instead of promoting like the extermination of certain groups, they're just gonna want to shrink us all down and put us in like the hamster cages. I guess that's a compromise that we can all agree on.
And here's the film that you are greatly anticipating for the rest of 2017. The Great Showman, starring your buddy Hugh Jackman, the movie that we teased earlier.
All right.
It's a it's a I think it's a musical.
Okay.
It's Hugh Jackman, Zac Efron, Zendaya, Michelle Williams, Diane Carroll is in this movie too.
All right.
Uh, it's, let's see here. The Great Showman was slated to open last Christmas, but 20th Century Fox pushed it back, avoiding competing with another little musical called La La Land. Uh, Finally, we'll see Hugh Jackman resume the song and dance routine that has served him well since starring in Broadway's The Boy from Oz. Jackman plays circus pioneer P.T. Barnum in this original musical, which feels like a syrupy cousin to Moulin Rouge.
All right.
So I will anticipate you purchasing the ticket and being in the first row.
No. All right. I'm tired of these movies. All right. So, I feel like we're about close to time to wrap up. What do you want to hit on that's the most pressing uh, story before we close out? Anything else major?
Well, the biggest story of this episode is a brief history of artists rapping about poop.
Okay.
Uh, would you uh, would you like to do the honors of reading this story, this Zach, since you're a big aficionado of rap rappers rapping about shit?
I mean, I don't have any like expertise as far as that specific style of rap is concerned. I know there's a lot of shitty rap on the radio, but
Literally shitty rap.
yeah. So I'm loading this up, but what like uh, the 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 cover art on this story is really something.
I wish it was an actual cover of an album. From the article is from Vice.com. They're in the noisy
Yeah,
section.
yeah. So who was the originator of poop rap? Does it say?
Let's see. A lot of rappers talk about dropping shit, but not all of them mean it literally. Join us as we analyze the ones who do, from Big Boy to Biggie. Rappers can be really obsessed with poop. I'm not talking about MCs using various phrasings of dropping shit to denote how they're spitting some niceness into a microphone. Nope, some of rappers' foremost artists have gotten way more specific when it comes to their relationship with their stools, and have proudly rapped about using fresh feces in any matter of innovation, and usually downright gross ways. While we can all cop to really enjoying a peaceful poop session, and there's a synergistic chance you are actually reading this off your phone while squatting on the porcelain throne, it's safe to say that your turd time is tame stuff compared to those lyrical excrement experts who have revealed shit's role in the drug mule game, involved it in bedroom shenanigans, and even lauded the importance of hygienic wipe strategy. In
Right.
honor of hip hop scatological pioneers, here are 10 pungent examples of rappers doing stuff to literally make them say, ugh. Um, Back in the mid 90s, you could find Outkast Big Boy setting his stall out as a sagely bathroom philosopher, musing on the trifling nature of existence. He used his spot on the elegiac AT Aliens album cut,
Hmm.
ET Extraterrestrials, to lament, man, it kills me. Taking that life is like taking a shit. Hit or miss, niggas are playing God. Big Boy's pontification is aimed at those kids who put the block to work. But if you dig deep into his reasoning, you could also suggest that upping his daily fiber game would do away with the unpredictable nature of a successful dump and set him up on a path to regular morning constitutionals. Flaxseed is eternal truth.
All
Uh,
right.
is there the 10 pound lighter theory? In the days when he was still reveling as America KKK's
Most
most
wanted.
wanted,
Yeah.
and vowing to kill Uncle Sam, Ice Cube served up one of the all-time most relatable shit lyrics. The track is Steady Mobbin', a heady slice of gangster funk that features our swaggering host cruising around his neighborhood in a Chevy Impala while packing heat. After grubbing like a motherfucker on so much soul food, Cube is moved to declare to his crew, now I got to take his shit. Cube takes a detour to his mom's house and delights in letting the world know he's just dropped a load in the bathroom. As he hops into his lowrider, Cube quips, coming out feeling about 10 pounds lighter. O'Shea is a man who truly understands the ecstatic relief that accompanies a monster deposit.
Are there any more modern examples of this? I see the one about Eminem. Let's get to that one.
The
What is
Eminem one.
Let's try to see. Dumping
Uh,
as revenge. Uh, uh, let's try to see.
After Eminem broke through as a mainstream rapper, he scooped up his old group, D12, and helped turn the sextet into cartoon anti-heroes who delighted in bringing their shock shtick to the world. 2001's Kooky Shit on You also illuminates the way rappers sometimes aren't physically crapping on a foe, but instead embracing the process as an all-encompassing way of asserting their superiority. Well, that's sort of meant to be the case. Although thanks to a devilish Slim Shady chorus that repeatedly promises "I'll shit on you," you are left with the impression that at some point, Proof, Bizarre, and Koniva and the rest of the bunch
Conniva.
were Koniva and the rest of the bunch. Yeah, I'm not a big D12 aficionado. And the
Well,
rest of
I
the
yeah.
bunch were. That's why I asked you to read this. We're definitely taking
TLDR.
dumps.
That's why.
We're definitely taking dumps on random houses, spouses, rings, and other assorted possessions as if enacting some literally shitty frat house prank.
All right. I feel like that's a good enough place as any to end it. So while you think
It's an
about
interesting article.
yeah, where can people tweet at you with their most recent poop inspired rap lyrics?
My Twitter is at Anthony Hoffman. You can find me on Facebook. Just search Anthony Hoffman. I'm the only one, the best one. And Instagram at Tony Hoffman Chai. That's Tony Hoffman Chai CHI.
All right, and I'm on Twitter at Zach Reviews. That's ZAC Reviews. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Zach Hughes. I'm on YouTube at youtube.com/Zach Hughes. You can find the podcast on Twitter at Frustrated Grad, on YouTube at youtube.com/Frustrated Grads. And you can find the audio version of the podcast on iTunes, Google Play Podcasts, and wherever podcasts are sold. If you like the podcast, give us 5 stars on iTunes. If you really like us, go to frustratedgrad.com and donate. So with that, I will say that's it for this edition of the Frustrated Grad podcast. Thanks for watching, and that's all you get for today.